Welcome back. This is the second lesson in a series of 4 on industrialization and urbanization. Today we'll talk about the challenges of urbanization. In this lesson, we'll see how the rapid growth of cities force people to contend with problems of housing, transportation, water, and sanitation. The vocab in this lesson: Americanization movement, tenements, social stratification, mass transit, social gospel movement, settlement houses, Jane Addams, and social mobility. The industrial boom that we saw in the previous unit is going to lead to rapid urbanization or growth of cities. Most of the immigrants we learned about in the last lesson settle in cities because they got cheap housing and there is an abundance of factory jobs there, so settling in big cities just makes more sense. There's an Americanization movement going on, which means to assimilate people into American culture. Schools and volunteer groups begin to teach citizenship skills. These skills include English, American history, cooking, and etiquette, while the ethnic communities are going to provide social support. There's also going to be some migration from the country to the city. This migration is because of farm technology. It's decreased the need for labor, so people are going to move to the cities in search of jobs. Many African Americans in the South lost their livelihoods, so they're going to move to the cities as well. And from 1890 to 1910, a lot of people moved to the cities in the North and in the West to escape racial violence. There will be some segregation and discrimination in the North as well, and competition for jobs between blacks and white immigrants are going to cause some tensions. When we look at urbanization, we see some problems start to present themselves. The increasing urban population presents concerns for these cities. One of these concerns is housing. Working class families live in houses on the outskirts. Later, we'll see row houses built for single families. The immigrants take over row houses and they put 2 to 3 families per row house. Tenements become popular. Tenements are multi-family urban dwellings. These are overcrowded and very unsanitary. Throughout the cities, you'll see some social stratification or the organization of people into social classes based on their wealth. Poverty is another issue that we'll see emerge during urbanization. The workforce is going to face poor working environments, low-paying jobs with long hours and dangerous conditions. And as we saw in previous lessons, unions and strikes are going to start to organize. Transportation is another issue. Mass transit, or the movement of large numbers of people along fixed routes, is popularized, and by the 20th century, transit systems are going to link the cities to the suburbs. Another problem faced in urbanization is water. In 1860, cities had inadequate or no piped water, so indoor plumbing is very rare. Filtration is going to be introduced in the 1870s, and then adding chlorine in the early 1900s is going to help with these water problems. Sanitation is another major issue. Streets filled with manure, open gutters, factory smoke, and poor trash collection are a handful of the sanitation concerns. Contractors are hired to sweep the streets, collect garbage, and clean out houses, but they often don't do their jobs properly. By 1900, the cities developed sewer lines and create sanitation departments. As population grows, crime is also going to see an uptick, and thieves flourish. The early police forces are just too small to be effective and in these new large cities. The new larger cities are also going to be a fire hazard because of limited water, wood houses, and with no electricity, it's going to be candles and kerosene heaters. Most firehouses are staffed with volunteers that are not always available, but by 1900, most of these cities are going to have full-time professional fire departments. Fire sprinklers and non-flammable building materials and things like that are also going to help make cities safer. In this era, the social reformers began to mobilize and focus their efforts on poverty. We see a social gospel movement, and this movement preached salvation through the service to the poor. There's also a creation of settlement houses or community centers in the slums that are designed to help immigrants. These were ran by college-educated women that provided educational, cultural, and social services. They sent visiting nurses to the sick and helped with professional, job, and financial problems as well. Jane Addams founded a settlement house called the Hull House with Ellen Gates Starr in 1889. With the help of these reformers, we start to see social mobility, or the ability of families or individuals to move into a higher social class.